Welcome back. Wednesday, July 21st, 2021. Bill, welcome back. Hope you had a good day off. Did you catch up on any movies or any... Okay, killing that. I bring important news. I bring great news, and I bring breaking news. If you were interested in the recall of the governor of California and whether Larry Elder would actually qualify for the ballot or not, because he had to go to court to get his name on the ballot because the Democratic Secretary of State did not allow him to be on the ballot. He went to court. He won. Larry Elder will be on the ballot in California to run for governor in the replacement and recall of Gavin Newsom. He tweeted out today, "My next victory will be on September 14th at the ballot box." Exactly right. Well done. I have to admit I was a little nervous about this. Whenever you have to go to court to get on a ballot or to win an election issue, it can be a very worrisome proposition, 50-50, and usually not in favor of the Republican. But the law was so clear here and the violation so stark. And perhaps the Democrats didn't want to hand the Republicans the first actual national example of black voter suppression, being the Democrats keeping a black candidate off the ballot in California. But that was the effort. Make no mistake, that was the effort. There's another side to this, which is important and tells you what Larry is up against, what we are up against. The LA Times, it is the most important. It is the biggest newspaper in the state of California. It's probably it is one of the top five. It is rated as one of the top 5 circulated newspapers in the country. It is to California much like Arizona Republic is to Arizona. It is the state organ. It is the state paper. It's nearly... Yes, there's the Sacramento Bee and yes, OCR and all that. Regionally, yes, of course. But as a statewide newspaper, the LA Times has established itself as that, or at least the people of California have. Guess what? You go to their website to understand what's going on the Larry Elder race and recall. You will not find anything on that page. Not a word about it. Not a word. Not a word. I guarantee you, if a black man or woman or any person of color or national origin, different national origin, if this was done to them and they were a Democrat, I am guaranteeing you this would not just be on the front page of the LA Times. It would be on the front page of the New York Times and the Washington Post, and President Biden would give a speech on it, and Kamala Harris would go to California talking about how this is not her California, this is not her America. I guarantee you that would be the case. I think Larry is right, though, in the long run, that they are afraid of him. I would be if I were running against him. Again, listen to articulate and uncontrovertible Larry is. He has never said something he has had to retract. And though the LA Times did put a hit on him last Friday, it was humorous. Dennis Prager covered it well. I did my own research on it. I beg of you, always do your own research. Dennis was talking about an LA Times article about how Larry Elder distorted crime statistics. And then, bless the LA Times, bless them, they put a hyperlink to it so you could see for yourself to prove it. Guess where the hyperlink took you? To Larry Elder's original Facebook post with no contravention, with no countermand, with no correction, with no fact check. All it did was take you to what Larry Elder said. That is not proof of distortion. That is reiteration of Larry Elder's original point. They were not able to prove that Larry Elder distorted crime statistics. He doesn't. He lives with them. He lives in them. This is part and parcel of why the left and the Democratic Party is afraid of Larry Elder. Can you imagine replacing the Democratic dream of Gavin Newsom with the conservative dream of Larry Elder at the snap of a finger? Is almost like an acute tumor growing overnight is how the Democrats would view it. But notice this is also, don't mean to overuse the phrase, I was going to say part and parcel, I'll just, not to do that, say this is also concomitantly tied to how the Democrats are now playing the game nationally. And it's going to require all of our antennas to figure out what is going on here. You know you're winning. You know you're winning with the American people. and you know your side is right when the Democrats or the left, or let's just say your opponent, denies doing what you accuse them of. If I'm accused of something and I'm wrong, I will ideally either try and defend it, right, or explain why I wasn't wrong, or apologize, be ashamed, correct myself, beg forgiveness. The world is too documented to be able to get away with a denial if you're a conservative. But it's not so documented to get away with denials if you're Democrats. So one way you know you're winning is when the Democrats deny what you accuse them of, even though it is taking place almost by leisure domain. Listen to what I'm saying, not what I'm doing, they tell us. So you have General Mark Milley today saying that there is no CRT, critical race theory, going on in the military. He wouldn't have to deny it after 3 weeks ago approving of it if he didn't think it was defensible. Right? You don't deny what you can defend. Same damned thing with this Texas legislature stunt and the lack of media drilling down on the irresponsibility of it on everything they told us was important. Green, energy, environment, carbon, not a comment about the 2 private jets which were taken to Washington, D.C. for this stunt when it seems like Southwest or American would have done just fine with 600% times less the carbon footprint. No comment on that. No comment on the fact that all of them were maskless. Every single one of them. Do you know why they were maskless? Because they were proud to smile and strut. The Democrats were strutting with those smiles on those private planes with no qualms of remorse. Boxes of beer to be seen in the photo, perfectly fine. Maskless while they enforce mask mandates on every other commercial flyer. No one in the media called them to account on that, although we saw it with our own 2 eyes, because you know the media is now ashamed of it, just as they are ashamed of the Democratic behavior with Kamala Harris standing up and applauding the Texas legislators when they went to Washington, D.C. to meet with her. If someone applauded the rioters on January 6th, after all, they were disrupting democracy, don't you know? That person applauding them would have been recalled by now, if not fired, or held up to the most massive forms of public censure and ridicule you can find. In fact, probably subject, if they were an elected official to the House or Senate, to censure, if not impeachment. Then we have exactly the fallout from that event Kamala Harris was clapping at. Did I not tie that loose end up? I meant to. The Texas legislators are also stopping, hampering, preventing, disrupting democracy. They have a job to do that the elected people of Texas gave them to do, and as a minority, they have a responsibility to be the minority actors in the state legislature of Texas and to work with the majority, because in Republican forms of democracy, you have majority rule, and they are not allowing the majority to rule. That's a thwarting, if not cessation of democracy in Texas. Kamala Harris stood up and applauded them, wanted to make that tie there. Then what happened from that event in Washington, D.C. with Kamala Harris? 6 people got COVID. 6 fully vaccinated people got COVID. And mysteriously, Kamala Harris went to the hospital on Sunday for just a routine appointment. You tell me how many routine appointments take place on Sunday with no further investigation or comment on it by the media, the way they commented on when Donald Trump went to the hospital for COVID. Now, Kamala Harris ended up not having COVID, fine. We still don't know why she went to the hospital on a Sunday, though. That would be something the media would very much be interested in if it were Dick Cheney or Mike Pence. But nonetheless, the thing the media is not saying about that meeting with Kamala Harris, even though she went to the hospital and the chief spokesman for Nancy Pelosi went to the hospital with COVID and 6 other people got COVID, not a super spreader. They called every Republican event that was held indoors or out a super spreader pre-vaccine. pre-vaccine. They're telling us we need to be vaccinated, and Nancy Pelosi said, yes, masks are still to be worn in the House of Representatives yesterday, while not wearing a mask herself. You know you have them on their heels when they're in a state of denial and memory holes. I haven't even gotten to what Anthony Fauci said yesterday, but we covered a lot of that yesterday, and we'll return to it a little bit today. But if he was perfectly fine with what his government funded, he wouldn't engage in invective against Rand Paul while not disabusing the country and Rand Paul of the allegations. He didn't. You know what I say? What they said about Nixon. Guilty, guilty, guilty. I'm Seth. We'll be right back.